I understand. It doesn't cater to your lowest self, it reveals your deepest self.
The reveal at the end of Westworld Season 1 answered everyone's biggest question about the Man in Black. We learned he's actually William, 30 years later. But this answer raised a lot more questions. Was William evil from the start? Why is the Man in Black still so obsessed with Westworld after all this time?
I'm never going back.
And what does this character say about the show's underlying philosophy and whatever it's reflecting of our world?
The world out there, the one you'll never see, is one of plenty. A fat, soft teat people cling to their entire life. Every need taken care of, except one. Purpose. Meaning.
Before we go on, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell to get notified about all of our new videos. By the way, to avoid confusion, we're going to refer to this character as William when we're talking about earlier timelines, and as the Man in Black when we're talking about later timelines. William and his later self, the Man in Black, are both driven by the hunger for meaning and truth. Much like the hosts, William feels stuck in a life that he didn't choose for himself.
I've been pretending my whole life. Pretending I don't mind, pretending I belong.
He's marrying into the family who own the company he works for, and he's constantly being humiliated by his future brother-in-law.
You walked into my office in that cheap black suit of yours, and you shook my hand, and you thanked me for the opportunity. That was the best day of your life.
So William feels owned by this future family, not free to make his own choices.
Humans fancy that there's something special about the way we perceive the world, and yet we live in loops, as tight and as closed as the hosts do. Seldom questioning our choices, content for the most part to be told what to do next.
In the park, William starts to see his own loop, and he longs for a way out of it. He decides that he's found an escape from that loop in Dolores and their love. William eventually becomes disillusioned with Dolores, but later, as the Man in Black, he's still on this same journey of searching for meaning, trying to understand reality.
I want to know what this all means.
It's this feeling that only real things count that leads the Man in Black to murder hosts without a second thought. But both William and the Man in Black are looking for meaning in the wrong places. They seem to think meaning is something external and tangible, a thing they can obtain via a place, a person, or a quest. A thing that's captured by searching outside themselves instead of looking inside themselves. For William, Dolores is significant not because he truly loves her, but because he thinks their story is special. Her journey means his own life is destined for something more.
You've unlocked something in me.
Not a key, William.
For the Man in Black, the search for meaning is even more clearly externalized. He's literally searching for the maze, as a place he thinks he can find the center of, as if truth were something you could capture and hold in your hands.
Where is the center of the maze, Dolores?
When Ford shows Dolores Michelangelo's famous painting of God and Adam from the Sistine Chapel, he describes it as
The fine moment when God gave human beings life and purpose.
So Ford's pointing out that the traditional interpretation of this painting tells the story of man receiving purpose from an external source, from God. But later in the conversation, Ford explains another deeper meaning of this painting.
See, it took 500 years for someone to notice something hidden in plain sight. His doctor noticed the shape of the human brain. The message being that the divine gift does not come from a higher power, but from our own minds.
Meaning and purpose, then, are not things that exist pre-made outside of us. They're created via our own consciousness. And this is a message that the Man in Black can't seem to comprehend.
What is this bullshit?
You were looking for the park to give meaning to your life. Our narratives are just games, like this toy.
It's no coincidence that everyone keeps telling William,
Told you this place would show you who you really are.
Who you really are.
People come to Westworld to learn about themselves. William's mistake is that he doesn't understand the answers aren't inside the game, but inside his own mind. The way the Man in Black relates to Westworld is eerily similar to how you feel about a video game you've played 1,000 times. For one thing, he's constantly calling it a game.
There's a deeper level to this game.
And a game.
The game is rigged.
Secondly, he's got that same exhausted frustration you feel when you're stuck on a really hard level that gets you every time.
Just skip the water world. I hate the water world.
Any special tricks for us? They teach you to sit up, beg.
And he also exhibits that hostile boredom that comes with having been through the same levels over and over again, hearing the same scripted dialogue.
Yeah, cue the waterworks.
The Man in Black likes to feel all-powerful among the hosts.
Your livestock, scenery. I play.
But while Ford knows and understands Westworld as a developer would, the Man in Black gets it only as deeply as a proficient player. Meanwhile, if the point of this whole game is exploring what makes us human, and if the Man in Black can't crack the meaning of this world, it follows that the Man in Black is missing the point of being human. As the epitome of the gamer, the Man in Black is naturally more at home in Westworld than in the real world. He even has a Westworld-like accent, unlike other guests.
In a sense, I was born here.
And like a socially awkward gamer, the Man in Black wants to escape reality and stay in Westworld. But because he's so hooked on this game, his real life completely deteriorates.
My wife's death was no accident. That she killed herself. Because of me.
Westworld initially helps William stand up to Logan.
And don't call me Billy.
And we can surmise that it's thanks to this agency that he's able to take control of Logan's family's company and become a majority shareholder of Westworld. Maybe his new understanding of how to dominate in Westworld lets him play the outside world too. William starts thinking that the rest of life, like Westworld, is just a game he can crack. And on the one hand, that makes him a successful man. But on the other, it destroys his relationships. And this person with a name and identity, William, degenerates into a shell of a person with no name, the Man in Black. Over time, he's devoted too much attention to the outcomes, like who's winning and losing, or what's the score, instead of to the process and experience of living. Think of how he speaks of his wife's death.
Last year, my wife took the wrong pills. Fell asleep in the bath. Tragic accident. 30 years of marriage vanished.
He seems to think that if the tangible proof of marriage, the wife, is gone, his experience of those 30 years has been erased too. Through showing us this game-obsessed villain, Westworld is saying something about us too. In modern society, so many parts of our daily lives are gamified. Central aspects of our social, professional, romantic, and family lives encourage us to focus a little less on the experience and a little more on the quantifiable outcomes of things. The likes a photo gets rather than the memory behind it. The number of matches or followers rather than the meaningful connections or real friends we might have. The job title or salary rather than the impact we feel we're making on the world. So by showing us how wrong the Man in Black is about the maze, and how evil this point of view can be when taken to the extreme, Westworld is pointing out that this kind of competitive behavior is ultimately empty.
The maze itself is the sum of a man's life. Choices he makes, dreams he hangs on to.
Life isn't a game you can win, because it ends the same for everybody. And meaning isn't some prize that you obtain by conquering a literal maze. More likely, the meaning of your life comes from the subjective experiences you have along the way. Through characters like Dolores and Maeve, who are only sort of beginning to discover humanity, Westworld is reaffirming those parts of human life that are inherently valuable. The human connections, the joys of growth, the challenge of expanding our consciousness, and the beauty of experiencing life.
The game's not worth playing if your opponent's programmed to lose. I wanted them to be free to fight back. Should have known you'd never let them.
It's Deborah.
And Susanna, and you're watching Screen Prism.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
If you like this video, please subscribe for more insights about all of your favorite movies and shows.
Down here.